coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Hey man, shout out everybody out there on Team Banky Pound, man. I appreciate the love, appreciate the support, man. We out here, boom, boom. Let's go, let's get it, let's jump right into it. You heard? Hey, listen, prison, man. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I remember when I had a cellie who told me that if I swing on him, he was gonna send me home in a box. He's gonna send me home in a box. And at this point in time, I probably was in the penitentiary just a couple of years. I'll never forget it. And the crazy part about it, this was a homie. This was a homie, right? It was the matter of fact, it was the first homie that I ever been in the cell with. He was older than me. I ain't even call his name. He was older than me. He had been doing time. I think he had probably already been down probably over a decade. When I first go to Augusta, I told y'all when I first went in the first cell I went in, it won't nobody in there but me. When I dropped my stuff off, ran out on the yard, somebody, you know what I'm saying, jacked all my stuff. I came back in there, snapped out on the block. That was a bad beginning to me coming on the institution, which is always, I found out later as I went on doing time, it's always a bad sign. When you come on the institution and something immediately goes wrong or you immediately get into something, this not gonna be a good institution for you. To me, that's how it always worked out for me. It's like it's gonna be bad vibes on the institution if you believe in that type of stuff, which I eventually did start believing in that type of stuff. Because when I first came on there, that's what happened. Okay, that's what happened. Eventually I no no yeah I eventually I left. When I first came on there, that happened. First, that's on that institution. That's the first time I went to segregation, which went to segregation on that institution many times. Had a situation with this homie. This the institution where I got the attempted murder charge on Big Raymond. It's the institution where I got in trouble with the situation where we beating the white boy, me and Dixon. Got street case. So it was a bad omen, you know what I'm saying? From the beginning when I came on there, somebody took my stuff. So, like I said, I eventually got a celly that came in there for a little while, but I had such bad vibes in the part. I don't know if they wrote me out of the part or what, because they ended up just coming and moved me like a couple months later, and I went down to the other end of the building, other end of the institution, which is in a whole nother building. This when I go in the cell with the homie. Now I'm going in the cell with him. He already got the cell. This is already his cell. So I'm going in the cell with him. So when I first get in there, we cool, everything cool. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He asked me where I was from. I told him I'm from DC. He said, what part, Southeast? I think he was from Northwest. And we was chopping it up. He was giving me good game, letting me know, you know what I'm saying, who's who, what's what. This is when I'm first seeing Boo Boo walk across the floor looking like a girl. Oh, that's her man right there, Charles. This is when I saw Towns, and he's sitting there like a pimp and got the two boys is bringing him cigarettes and lighting his cigarettes. You could smoke all on the block back then. Lighting his cigarettes and, you know what I'm saying, sitting out in front of his cell. Sometimes they clipping his toenails, and he running poker games. They bringing him cups of coffee and calling him daddy. It was like I'm in a whole new world, because even in the wall, if that type of stuff was going on, we weren't like in a pod setting in the wall, and it was just so dangerous in there. And when dudes did came out, they said they moving around. They you know what I'm saying? It won't no sit down spots in the wall. It won't no sit down spots. It was one little table, I believe, back in the corner, where right in front of that is where they got their haircut. But the whole block was just a long wing where It ain't have the picnic tables and that you sit on and stuff like in regular the newer age prisons, you know, like Augustus and Greensville's and Nottaways and you know what I'm saying. All of these places got picnic tables in the block that you sit down at 5, 6, 7 of them. You know what I'm saying? Where dudes could play cards, do this, do. They ain't have all that in the wall. You just got a tip. So all of this stuff was new to me. You know what I'm saying? It was new, and I'm learning, and he's showing me stuff, and I'm seeing all these like crazy stuff going on, like couples and the gambling. They running spade games over here, poker games over here. They shooting dice in the corner. Dudes is drinking. They drinking on the yard. It was just so it was like wide open. It was like the first. No, it ain't won't like it was the first institution that I went on that was wide open. You know what I'm saying? Because even in the wall, it was still somewhat like controlled movement because they had just came off a long lock, like years of lock where they won't even coming out. I think the wall was like the first person that, or the first place in Virginia that had implemented that like 23-1 where they won't coming out they said because they was having so many murders and violence going on where they had been locked up for some years before I got there. But when I got there, it was like they was coming off of that and was starting to let them out in sections and sections and sections for wreck, where like everybody went out at the same time. I can only imagine how it would be in the wall when if you let all 4 tiers out at the same time. Ooh, Lord, I can only imagine the chaos, the confusion, the violence, the viciousness. I could only imagine, dog. Because it was dudes when we came out that was trying to get at dudes that just couldn't get out on the same tier that they was on. And it was beefing, going back and forth, throwing stuff through cells, setting cells on fire, trying to stab dudes through the bars and stuff. So imagine if all of them was like out at the same time. Mad chaos. So anyway, this the first time I'm like out and can see all that, like everything moving around. Everybody says when you get on a major institution open spread, it's gonna be like baby Vegas, man, because it's just so much gambling going on, so much activities. Even when you go on the yard, they playing basketball. Over here, they playing horseshoes. Over there, they playing volleyball. Over there, they playing softball. Over here on the picnic tables, they gambling. You know what I'm saying? In the corner over there, they shooting dice. Over there, they on the weight pit, getting big as bulls. So all of this is going on the yard because everybody is out there. You on a major institution that's wide open. So I'm really like learning everything as it go on. And like I say, my celly, he was giving me game, right? This was during the time too that I told you they was showing porn on TV on the actual channels that we could get. They had a channel that they show movies from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And most of the time it was porn movies because that's what dudes was trying to get. That's what dudes would have must have requested before I got there. So it was crazy to me because by now I've been locked up a couple of years. I ain't nobody seen no porn. The best you had was Freak magazine, but you ain't seen no porn. So my celly, I think I spoke on it on the video. He was like, man, hey man, the movie star coming on at 9, man. If you want to stay here first, I go tomorrow night, or I can come in later if you want to come out. I'm like, movies? He was like, yeah, they be showing the movies, right? So I'm like, boom. I guess he was like, man, I ain't sitting up here watching no movie with no dude, but I'm thinking he's talking about regular movies, but I didn't know it was porn. And it was actually porn, real live porn. So I was like, oh man, this is what he was talking about. Because he was gone. He got out the cell, left. So I'm like, man. So needless to say, y'all know what happened with that, right? So that was crazy. So all of this stuff, like I said, is new to me. So then I knew though, and I'm learning like to really deal with sellers, because this is something that you got to transition into, that you got to really learn how to deal with your seller. You got to feel your seller out. You got to see what he about. You got to give him his space. He got to give you yours. It's a balance that y'all got to come to a meeting of the minds about. Because if you don't, you're gonna be bumping heads. If you bump heads, you're gonna end up locking up or worse. So I'm learning all of this, and I'm learning the facts too, that if you coming in somebody else's sale, especially somebody that's been down for a while, to double digits, you old time, you've been down for double digits or better, you already set in your ways of how you gonna do your time, how you want your sale. What you know, all of these things I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no rule book to this. You got to learn on your own. And then depending on who your seller is or what type of dude he is, that can get you late because he could be trying to handle you and you don't want to be handled. You could do something that he don't really go for, not knowing you doing something he don't go for and can cause an issue. It's just a lot of things like that. But under no circumstances in my mind I'm gonna be handled and you ain't gonna handle me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be handled. I'm not one of them type of dudes. You know what I'm saying? Whether I know what's going on or not. If I do something that's out of pocket, then say something about it out of pocket. But you're gonna have to say something in a respectful way to get me to even consider complying. You understand me? So this, I think me and him, that's what it came down to. We had an issue about something. You know what I'm saying? About like he was trying to tell me something about the sale, about like where I had my stuff at or something, or what I left somewhere that was in his way. But the way he was saying it to me, it was like, "Are you talking to your son or something? I ain't your son." You know what I'm saying? I ain't, you know what I'm saying? I'm young in the penitentiary. You my homeboy, you from up the way. You supposed to be the big homie, but you ain't sonning me. You ain't, that ain't going down like that. So that's what the issue was in the way he was talking. So I remember checking him and I'm like, man, hey, hold up. I said, bro, if you want to tell me something, then you got to tell me in a better way than that. Cause you ain't like telling me what to do, bro. You supposed to be giving me game, but don't be talking to me like I'm a child, dog. I ain't your son. You know what I'm saying? And he looked at me and he kind of like rubbed on his nose or something. And he used to be a drug addict too, which is another story I put in this story some kind of way. But he looked at me, rubbed on his nose, and he like backed up. He was like, bro, you know you came in my cell, right? I said, bro, this is a prison cell. This is both our cell. They just put me in here. This is both our cell. I said, now you my homeboy, everything. I'm gonna respect you, dog, but you gonna have to respect me too. You can't just tell me what to do. You supposed to like let me know what should be done, but don't just try to tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, bro, you ain't running nothing up in here. And I said, well, you ain't running nothing up in here neither. He said, nah, yeah, I am. I'm running the cell. This is my cell. I said, man, you tripping. I said, well, what you want to do? What you trying to get busy? I'm saying, what's up? You trying to clutch or what? So he was like, clutch? Yeah, I said, you trying to bang. You trying to bang out. What's up? You know what I'm saying? He was like, hey, young, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't do no fighting. I'm like, okay, well, what you talking about then? He said, what else is it besides fighting? You in the penitentiary. You in the penitentiary. You put your hands on me, young, and I'm telling you right now, you going home in a box. I say, what? He said, you heard what I said. You heard what I said. You know what I'm saying? And I could tell the way he was standing, and he kind of like positioned himself, and he like put his hand where I couldn't see his hand. You understand me? So in my mind, I done been in the wall now, and I done had that, that Rambo. So I know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, okay. So this Joker got one of them Jones, and he telling me that if I put my hands on him, I'm going home in a box. So right then and there, I'm in a dilemma. Now I had no intentions on swinging on him unless he was trying to fight anyway. That's number one. But for me to sit up here and tell you that didn't put something on my mind, that it didn't like shake me up, I'd be lying. Yeah, he shook me up with that. Cause I won't prepare for that. And I won't prepare for that from him. You understand? But it gave me a life lesson though. You know what I'm saying? That became a life lesson for me because it taught me that no matter who my seller is, no matter where he from, I still got to be ready. I still got to be ready. And I was not ready. You know what I'm saying? If I had a swung on him and he'd have pulled out the sky, who's to say? Who's to say? I probably could have lost my life. It's a possibility I could have took it from him. I don't think I could have took it from him without, you know, absorbing something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that would have did to me. I don't know where that would have landed at. Could have been in my face. Could have been in my kidney. Could have been somewhere that was vital to me. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't know that. So I'm looking at him and he looking at me, right? And and he had a stone face on him. And he want no big dude. He want no big dude. I want no big dude neither. But he want no big dude. And he was looking at me, he was like, yeah, young, that's what go on here, young. I ain't doing no fight. You know what I'm saying? And I can't remember exactly how long he been there, 10, 11 years or something like that. But he was like, yeah, I've been there 11 years, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I've been there 11 years, y'all. I ain't doing no fighting. I'm going to tell you that right now. You know what I'm saying? You put your hands on me, you know what I'm saying? You going about you in a box, bro. Straight like that. And I said, yeah, I just letting you know you're not gonna handle me up in the cell. So if that's what you think you're gonna do, then you're gonna have to do whatever it is you're talking about doing. But I'm letting you know too, ain't nobody sending me home in no box without going with me. You understand? Ain't nobody sending me nowhere without going with me, especially somewhere that it's gonna be detrimental to me. You going with me. You know what I'm saying? So he said, okay. He said, okay, but you know, like I say, you respect me in the cell, I respect you in the cell, but it don't be no fighting up in here. I can tell you that right now. I said, yeah, all right. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? Just respect me, I'm gonna respect you. So boom, we leave it at that. But like I said, I'm shook now. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. I'm shook. Cause I know I know he dangerous. I can look in a man's eye and know if they playing, whether they snatching, I knew that even from when I was young. He won't play. You know what I'm saying? So now in my mind, I gotta get me one of them Jones. ASAP to ASAP. You understand me? I had one before I moved from down there. Cause when them dudes took my stuff. But you can't move around like that when you gotta pack all your stuff up with these police, cause they'll check you. They're gonna check you and shake you down and go through your stuff. And if you get clapped with that, then you stuck already. You late. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I went on a mission to get that. And I got that. You know what I'm saying? And it won't specifically for him, but I could have used it for him if I had to use it for him. And then you got to imagine now, I got to sleep up in this joint. I got to sleep up in this joint with him. So now, you know what I'm saying? I'm really nervous, purpose, because I'm like, what if he just wake up at night and say, yeah, you sleep, you know what I'm saying? Whoop, 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 you know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking about that. So I'm sleeping uneasy. I'm moving uneasy. So it was about 2 or 3 days. We just walking around each other. We ain't really kicking it no more. We ain't really saying that. And then he just pulled up on me. He was like, look, young man, holler at you. I'm like, what's up? So he was like, look, man, I'm gonna tell you this because I'm a man. You understand? He said, I apologize for saying what I said to you, because I shouldn't have even took it there with you. He said, but at the time, it looked like you was getting ready to swing on me, or you offering me to fight. You understand? He said, don't never ask a dude, do he want to rumble. If you feel like you want to rumble, then you go ahead and do what you gotta do. But when you ask a dude, do he want to rumble, you know what I'm saying? You putting him up on game. Then you getting him ready. You getting him prepared. You know what I'm saying? You letting him know that you mean to do him bodily harm, right? He said, if you gonna do that to somebody, just do it. He said, that's me included. He said, but you don't do that, man. He said, because if you do that, then, you know, this ain't the place for that. You in a different place. This ain't no honor. This ain't no, you know, we gonna stand up, we gonna bang it out, we gonna go toe to toe. He said, dudes ain't doing that in here. He said, dudes pushing that Bethlehem up in here, man. Dudes sneaking up behind you up in here, bro, cutting your throat. You know what I'm saying? Dudes stabbing you in your back. Dudes come up behind you and stab you when you're on the phone, when you're going in the microwave. You know what I'm saying? So he said, if you got a problem with somebody, then if you feel like that problem gonna get physical, then go ahead and do what you gotta do. But don't ask nobody to do they want to fight, young. He said, you ain't in the city, you ain't on the street. This in the penitentiary. You understand? And he said, I'm letting you know, I ain't really got no harm in my heart for you. He said, but I'll defend myself if you trying to hurt me. You understand? Just like I do against any one of these bammers out here. He said, but I'm giving you this game because you a homie and you young and you got a lot of time to do. You understand? So he said, I just wanted to apologize for you. Like I said, I ain't got no malice. I see we've been walking around the cell a couple of days. We ain't saying to each other. I just want to let you know it ain't like that. So my bad, my apologies. Hopefully you'll take this game I'm giving you as you go down the line and do your bit. You know what I'm saying? And I respected that. I respected that a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Because that's real and that's real game. And he ain't had to do that. Because if he hadn't did it, I'm still moving around in there. Even after he did that, I still felt a certain type of way, but it took some of that pressure off from me feeling the way I was feeling. Like, You don't know. Is he plotting on me? Is he waiting for the right opportunity? Is he, you know what I'm saying? Is he talking bad about me outside the cell? Might push somebody else my direction to come at me with something. You don't know none of these things. You know none of these things in the penitentiary when you new in there and you in this type of position. You don't know none of this. So for him to give me that game and give me that conversation, it put me at ease, but it ain't put me all the way at ease, but it put me in a space where I could deal with him and I could move around the cell. We started talking again, kicking a little bit, playing cards. We used to play little, little spades and deuces and talk with each other. Sometimes we locked in the cell, you know what I'm saying? And we kicked it. We stand outside. Sometimes I won't kick it with no whole lot of dudes. Sometimes when the pod is open, I just be standing in front of the cell, you know what I'm saying, up against the wall by our door. He might be out there with me and we just be talking and he be telling like, look at them, man, they crazy. And we just be going on like that. But I didn't stand there alone, you know what I'm saying? Because, for whatever reason, they came and got me again. Shipped me all the way back down to the other end. That's when I ended up going in the block with Super D. I went and said with another homie, Super D. Because I think at this time, like early in my bit, like Augusta days and stuff like this. Augusta was a new penitentiary. It only been open a couple of years before I got there. I think they had so few DC dudes on there, and all of them had been there before me. I'm just getting there. That they was trying to, if they could, put the DC dudes in the cell together. You know what I'm saying? Because of whatever the probably went on before I got there. So that's why I had went and sit with him, go straight from the cell with him, and then they put me in the cell with Super D. You know what I'm saying? Then I told y'all some of the things when they were Super D. But now I'm in the block where you got Dixon in there, where you got Church in there, where you got Speedy in there. You know what I'm saying? Where you had Daryl in there, you had Mayo up in there. You know what I'm saying? This a deep DC block. This far as you know what I'm saying, from what I had ever experienced. You know what I'm saying? Snyder was in there. Um, yeah, so it was a lot. It was a lot of DC dudes in there, and I went right in there with one of the head dudes. Super D. Super D is the one that's getting the money. So, but me and Youngin was cool. You know what I'm saying? I seen him a couple times, like out on the yard or whatever, whatever. We still stayed cool. But like I said, it was game for me, man. It was needed game for me, and he gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? But I will say, he the only dude, and because from that point forward, and that's early in my bit, man. That's before the first season, 5, 3, maybe even 3, about 3, 4 years was up. Did that happen? And there has never been a celly that I have ever had that was able to threaten me in surviving that cell. Because once you threaten me, I, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? You got to go. You know what I'm saying? So he the only one that can lay claim to that because he did do that, and I did not do nothing to him. You know what I'm saying? I did not do nothing to him. And he did shake me up. That's just being honest. We have people that might tell you all this other fool. Ain't nobody never scared me. Ain't nobody never. Yeah, he shook me up. You know what I'm saying? You laid up in that 8x10 cell, and you in there with a dude that's been there 3 times the time you done been in this system and know what's going on, and he telling you that he got that thing on him, and you swing on him, he ain't doing no fight, and you gotta lay your head down up in there. Yeah, if you ain't shook up, then you's an idiot, and you probably, you know what I'm saying, on the clock to be unalived. You know what I'm saying? Because you not thinking correctly. You got to be aware of that, and I was. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad though, in retrospect, for a lot of reasons. I'm glad I ain't do nothing to him because of who he was. I'm glad I ain't do nothing to him, and I was able to learn from that and know. But I locked it in my mind because of the anxiety that I had, even still being in there with him after something like that has been said. The anxiety that it caused me, I vowed never to do that again. Never. Even if it was somebody that was a homie, even if it was somebody that I was cool with. If you threaten me, you got to get away from me. I cannot sleep around you no more. You know what I'm saying? Because that threat could turn into action. That action can turn into me, you know what I'm saying, not being able to ever get home to my family. You know what I'm saying? So that was a life lesson for me. So if you ever see this, champ, shout out to you. It's all love, man. I hope you're doing well. I hope you back home with your family, and you know who you are if you see this. And yeah, I needed that. You know what I'm saying? I needed that, man. But it is what it is. Life is life, man. And hopefully you alive and doing well. But y'all talk to me in the comments. I talk back. Big love to everybody who got that membership. Stay tuned. One on the way. Getting ready. Gonna make another one. You understand me? I'm gonna keep them coming. The more y'all come over there, the more I'm gonna make. So go tell a friend, tell your cousin, tell your auntie, tell your nephews, tell the people next door, man, to come check out what we got going on over there, man. Everybody who got the membership, it is a blessing, and I appreciate all y'all. Y'all stay tuned for the Connect interview. I think it's gonna come out on the Connect podcast Sunday, so y'all keep your notifications on. As soon as I get more word, I will post it. And big love to y'all, man. I appreciate you, each and every one of y'all, man. Y'all be safe, be smart, make good decisions. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, man. Watch that hook, man. It's out there, man. And you go in that penitentiary, man. Ain't no telling if you ever gonna be out chill again.
The Banky special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.